Joining me now from the south of Israel is Nimrod Vromen, a reservist in one of the IDF's artillery corps special units and a peace activist. Nimrod, thank you. I'll start by asking you what the latest is on this war and the ground offensive that we're hearing about into the refugee camps.
Hi, thank you, Caroline. Thanks for having me over. Well, I'm about to head to the base right now, and I'm very fortunate to get my updates from the base. So they're sort of like the most up-to-date you can have. I think that this war has several phases, and the Israeli government has said that many times. And we are now, well, people have been calling it different phases. I still see it as the first phase, which is a phase in which the IDF is in a process of asserting control over areas from which the Hamas is launching attacks on Israel. Now, the first areas that the IDF asserted control over were strategic spots in the north of Gaza after, we could move the population or ask the population to move to the south. Then we started asserting control in our units. And those areas are also where the Hamas launched the attacks of October 7th on us, and also where they launched rockets on us. And we still have rocket fire to the center of Israel, not daily. It's reduced significantly because the IDF's mission is successful so far, as difficult as it is to say, because this is a very difficult war for us. And the central Gazan refugee camps are one of the last few areas in which we need to assert control. Now, the way that the IDF is doing it is sort of like an area-by-area approach, and therefore it seems like it's always expanding. But at the end of the day, the Gaza Strip is a finite piece of land, and I predict that once this part of the process will be over, then the next phase will begin, which will be a far more surgical phase. And it will optically be less destructive, but I do hope it will continue to be destructive for Hamas specifically.
Okay, well, we've been reporting, as you might have heard, that this proposal from Egypt to bring an end to the war has been put on the table. What is your personal view on this? Do you think that Israel, or Hamas for that matter, could seriously accept this proposal from what you know of it?
Well, it's a great question, and I can give my personal opinion about it. I'm 41. I grew up in Israel alongside Hamas, anyway, in many ways, and built my family here alongside them. I was a teenager when they exploded here in buses in the 90s and the early 2000s. And as you said before, I was a bit of a peace activist and still hope to come back to being one after this war. Having said that, in Israel, Israelis are at the moment definitely no longer capable of differentiating between the Hamas political arm, which has sometimes existed independently of its military arm, and the Hamas's military arm. Since Sinwar took over in the Gaza Strip, they have been completely one and the same. In reality, they have been one and the same because the political arm also and the social arm also managed their education system and radicalized them so heavily against Israel. And they do share the same charter. So at this point, after the trauma of October 7th, it's difficult for me to see how any constituency in Israel, voting constituency in Israel, supports a solution whereby Hamas still exists. Having said that, compromises are things that, situate endpoints that neither side is happy with. And you might hear the name Hamas, but it may refer to remnants of their social and political arm that have no ability to weaponize, radicalize, and organize them against Israel. And that will be, sort of like the lowest branch possible, maybe, for them to climb off this tree and end this war, which is very bad for the Gaza Strip and for Hamas in particular.
Yeah, I guess that would be a way of them saving face almost, that they still get to be part of this. It's very interesting.